So Arnold's going to start a flute prayer. It's actually a prayer. So I'd like you to remove your hat and honor the prayer. And I'll even take my hat off. Thank you. So we're going to try to interpret this as much as we can and have some service so you understand it. We're really here to honor the space and the fish, and we're really grateful that you're all here. We'll try to give you a heads up when you can put your hat on and take your hat off, and what it means. And if you have time and you want to ask more questions, you can ask those, later. Arnold's up.
It's certainly an honor to be asked to be here today. I would like to extend the thank yous to all of the personnel and businesses that were involved in creating this area. It was just absolutely heart-gripping. And I think, like we were talking with Mark, the spirits of our ancestors are here. And everybody's, not just the indigenous folks, they call us now, but everybody that's passed through this valley and who has moved on to the next world. I like to send a prayer to the Creator through a few notes of the music. The world is full of music when you listen. We listen with your heart. You can hear music and rhythms all over. And so we put all them together and we send them to the Creator. And we thank Him because in the future, each and every one of us are also going to be with Him and with our ancestors. And then we will be able to come back and communicate with our families down the road. So with that, I say thank you, Creator. Thank you.
Welcome. Welcome to, first of all, to our Methow people, Sinpaskosa, Wenatchees, Okanagan, our Okanagan relatives, Ntlahapm, our Thompson relatives. Welcome to the land of the Methow people. To all you Shamas out there, Shoyapos, welcome. I want to open with a song, but I want to explain a few things to you while you're here. My family descends from the Miller family, from Sam Miller, my mother, Mary Miller Marchand, my grandfather, Jerome Miller Ashlachen, Yup Yawit. My grandmother, descended from her father, was Columbia Peter. We lived on the allotments down here at the mouth of the Methow River and at Aswell. My grandfather, Jerome Miller, Ashlachen, he used to say, you don't have to be in a church. You don't even have to be in a holy place. Any good thought well directed in itself is a prayer. Just remember that as you travel through the day. Think good thoughts. Those are prayers. The story I want to tell you, it's a story that goes back. It predates time. It's when animals and people walked together, when we were one with each other, when our people first started rising after the great floods, before the world was turned upside down. They were starving here. And Kayo, the creator, Hoyan Choten, he sent his emissary. He sent a changer, Shmiao, Sinklip, to make way for man who is coming, to help man. We were weak. We were starving. We had no power. We had no song. And so the animal people were asked, Shmiao asked them, who will come forward to help feed these people, to help them? Well, most of the animals, they thought, well, they're weak, they're puny, they're not so bright, they don't even have a spirit. Maybe we should just let them die. Coyote says, no, that's not the option. I'm asking for you to come forward to help feed these people. Finally, he got a message, and it was from the salmon people. They said, we will help you feed the people. We will be the ones. We will sacrifice ourselves. But you must make us a promise. You must make us this promise that we're allowed to return and die in our home where we come from, so that our children and our grandchildren will know where they come from and will always return. So becomes the salmon run. To this day, the salmon go back to where they came from. They spawn, they give birth, their children repeat this cycle over and over. And for that reason, we thank the salmon. We move forward. The animal people gave their spirit, their song to the people. And from that, people learned from the fish, from the four-leggeds, from the birds. They learned from them. They learned where to get their foods. They learned all the materials, how to build, how to make baskets. Everything we know, we learned from our animal relatives. And so we give thanks. We give thanks when we eat them. We give thanks when we take them. We don't take the life without honoring them. When I was a child, my older brother is here. Ernie, where are you? When we were kids, our folks would bring us up here to War Creek, to Twist River. And it was at a time when it was illegal for us to fish in our home territory. We had sacrificed, our people had sacrificed and been driven out of this land at one time. But my grandfather still insisted on coming up, and we would come up here and fish with him. Or actually, we would just kind of get in the way. But he would fish, and he recalls his great-grandfather, his uncles, and he would tell us he made spears. He made his spears and his gaff hooks to fish. And when he was done, we would go out in the middle of the river, and he would plant the staff into the riverbed, snap it, and face that broken part south to the mouth of the river, so that the Creator would know that that staff, that wood was used in a good way and had fulfilled its purpose. He recalled as a kid the salmon chief fulfilling Coyote's teachings, the teachings of Coyote. Salmon chief would go down and he would take his stick and he would plant it in the river and he would sing and he would start his song, an honor song, to honor those salmon who have brought us through all these thousands of years. And so we do that. We plant that stick and we sing for our fish to return. Like now, people would gather and they would come and they would have great salmon feasts. They would sing. Those days have dwindled. Our people that numbered in the thousands in this valley, 4,000, 5,000, 6,000 in this valley, going south, every one of these tributaries into the Columbia, had people who gave thanks in their way to the return of the salmon. There were other fish that were there. There were eels or lamprey. our medicine from the little ones, from the little fish. All of them were sacred. Everything, everywhere you look, is sacred. All the trees, all the bushes, even the invasive ones that you brought in. We never created them. We never created one form of life here. Nor do we have the right to be taking it out of the equation of what's here. All the animals that were here deserve to be here. They were here before us. We learned from them. Our shomach, our meriam, our spirits, our medicine derives from them. We still owe them their place. So we honor them with a song, with prayers. So bear with me. I want you to face east. I want you to face that river, because that's what it's about. Save the salmon and you will save the people. Save the salmon, you will save our culture. We'an chotan we hi hi. We'an chotan we hi hi. We hi Thank you, folks. Be seated. I want to thank you. We have guests here. We have people here, but I want to bring my niece up here, my great niece. She's wearing the buckskin outfit of her great aunt, Mary Miller Marchand. When my mother passed away, we passed this on down to Alika, that she would carry out for every function that we have for the Methow people. She wears this dress. She honors her elders. So this is Alika. And before you leave, before anything, I want you to come up and shake her hand. Thank you, folks. We have numerous guests. I'm going to let Mark introduce everybody. Thank you, and thank my cousin Arnold Cleveland and his wife Gail for helping to set this up. Thank you, Dave.
We actually should give thanks to the Creator. I tell people that Christianity is a vertical religion and that Indian spirituality is a horizontal religion. So we give thanks to the Creator, but we have all these spirits that have similar powers. It's not all shining uphill. So I'm going to say something that's quite embarrassing only for two of you, so I can get away with saying it. It's embarrassing to Phil and Kathy Davis. In my first interview with them here, I came to the realization that they are creators. They created this site. They had the help of a lot of people, the vision for the creation. They kept the group small to make the vision happen. Without a band of 20 board members, I'm forever grateful for that. We should hear from at least one half of the creators, Phil Davis.
From the quirky, brilliant mind of David Byrne, and you may ask yourself, well, how did I get here? And I mean right here, right now. Imagine where we stand today was once the bottom of an ocean, or later, buried under a mile of glacial ice. Then salmon, chasing the retreating ice into a pristine valley. Humans, the Methow people, following those salmon, calling this place home for thousands of years. Only 150 years ago, pioneers settled, drawn by natural beauty and its abundance. Horses grazing in their pasture over the last 50 years, and now, all of us together, in community, celebrating the opening of Homestream Park. Let me backtrack for a moment to mention two things that I think are the most consequential during this timeline. First was the systematic and sometimes brutal removal of the Methow people from their homeland in the late 1800s. And this was not just their physical removal, but also a squashing of their culture. I bring this up not to make us feel ashamed or guilty or despondent, but to acknowledge it, to teach it, to learn from it, to live that truth, because for some, this pain lives on. And then there was this, and I quote, "The overall benefits to the Pacific Northwest from a thoroughgoing hydroelectric development of the Snake and Columbia rivers are such that the present salmon runs must be sacrificed." That was pulled directly from a memo written by Julius Krug, the Secretary of the U.S. Department of Interior under Harry Truman. Since that time, 13 million, down to less than 500,000 naturally spawning salmon entering the Columbia each year. Now let me pivot. Let's get back to today, because today we celebrate. It was a year ago when my wife Kathy listened patiently as I shared an idea, a vision. Understand, she's endured a few of my visions over the years, so I was pretty nervous because I really liked this one. But my vision track record has been okay, not great. So I finish, and Kathy places her hands on the side of my face, and with a little comforting squeeze, she says, "I love it." This is the gratitude part of my remarks. Kathy, thank you. Thank you for your encouragement, your patience, your partnership, and your steadfast belief in what we were doing. And to the entire community of folks who joined in this vision, too many for me to name, Kathy and I both felt a similar collective embrace like the one I got from her. It's been so rewarding to work with all of you, to have made new friends, and to have it all come together in 6 months. Amazing. Leads me to the other thing I want to talk about, inspiration. I swear it is in our water. Inspiration permeates this valley, with so much of it directed on a shared stewardship of the land, the water, and of each other. Of course, we hope you simply enjoy your experience at the park, but what would be really cool is if your time here was the source of your own inspiration, and better yet, an inspiration focused on our salmon. You see, I believe salmon are our canary in the coal mine. They touch the headwaters, tributaries, and rivers, the estuary, the ocean. We've thrown the book at them in terms of obstacles and challenges, and they're still here, but just barely. So many of you here today work tirelessly to protect what's left, and I thank you. We all thank you. I certainly don't know what the solutions are to make sure our salmon live on to spawn naturally in our rivers for generations to come, but I do know it starts with caring, and it starts with that inspiration. I hope you all come back to the park often, find your favorite spot, sit quietly, pay attention, care, get inspired. I know I do. Thank you all so much for being here today, for sharing in this vision, for celebrating our grand opening, for acknowledging this place as our home, all of us, including the salmon. We've come home. Now I have the honor of welcoming Mark Miller to the microphone, who will share words and lead us in ceremony honoring the salmon, his people, and all of us. But before I hand the mic off, I first wanted to give some props to the folks from that mighty little organization that could, located at Twistworks, the Methow Valley Interpretive Center. They have helped us to understand our complex history here, and they connected us with the tribe in an authentic and meaningful way, resulting in this beautiful day. Thank you. And now, Mark.
My first day here with Phil and Cassie, me vetting them. They asked my daughter if I would help them. My daughter said I would probably say no. I wouldn't help them. I always say no to start with. I'm really careful about that. In a 3-hour discussion, I was convinced to say yes. We left that day and my wife and I went to Sun Mountain, sat on the patio, and looked over this valley. I knew that I had made the right decision to say yes. So what you see before you is my poor artistic attempt for the vision I had the first day I walked this site. We've all driven by this place for years and years and years, and I knew what it was. I picked up a beer can. It said Rainier on it. I picked up another beer can. I picked up a horseshoe, then another horseshoe, and then another horseshoe. I sat down there, about halfway down this park. In the crotch of a large cottonwood, there's a bear repository of the berries and the fruit within the city of Winthrop. It's a little bear's potty place. I came back subsequently. I found a little round eye rock. I then called Kathy, told her I needed a board from this site. So she furnished that. On another trip, I found a little black heart rock. That's here as well. I found a multicolored circle rock. Circle of life for that salmon. We as Indian people speak of a circle of life for us. This fish, this salmon we are honoring today, has a circle of life. That circle rock is in the middle of that circle, on the side of this fish. When I spoke at the Headwaters celebration, a 4-year-old boy from this valley had helped his dad tan a salmon skin. It's like leather. I'm going to try not to cry right now. That discussion made a 4-year-old boy want to give me the salmon skin that he and his dad had prepared. This circle rock, in that circle, is part of that salmon skin, given to me by that 4-year-old boy. So we took an old corral site and created a park. And I use the word creation not lightly, because I know it embarrasses Phil and Kathy, but it's the actual truth. I've been praying at this site for over 2 months. I've been here somewhere around 10 times over the past 2 months, various times of the day, running into people working here, watching people work, watching Rob convince kids that it's fun to dig holes in the dirt with rocks. Rob's like the Pied Piper. Oh, this is fun. Oh, look at this, another rock. Let's take that one out. Holy cow, I'm glad I wasn't building a fence. One day I pulled up here on my motorcycle. Owen was in a large willow tree to our right, trying not to drop tree limbs on people. He crawled out of his tree, trying to keep me safe. I told Owen I was here to pray and to study this site. Owen and I had a spiritual discussion that lasted about an hour. We interrupted his work, but we talked about his work and the work that he was doing that day. So this fish is my poor artistic attempt, with my son's help, as a gift for you two, because this site has been transformed. Phil alluded to that in the fact that the Methows have been here for thousands of years. It was a whole ecosystem of things, not just the water. It's not just the salmon. It's not just the plants. It's not the roots. It's not just the berries. It's not just the animals. It's just the spiritual places in this valley, this one big stew of an ecosystem. You're part of that ecosystem. You live here. You eat the vegetables. You come here. You're that dirt. It's inside you. Mother Earth. You hear people talking about that. It's inside you. This water, the air, it's all collectively one big homogeneous thing. It's all interrelated. We're here to honor these salmon, but it just gives us one opportunity to think about how we all are interconnected, how this whole thing is interconnected. I did a prayer this morning, and people were nervous because there were white people and Indian people at the same prayer. I came with the concept of talking about one of the cousins from the Okanagan in Canada. The Indian prayers are simple. The teachings are simple. They apply to all people, not just Indian people. The things that are going to help us change and to protect this land, this world, our society, they mean the same thing to all of us, quite frankly. We can embrace those things. We need to approach those things. I think Phil and Kathy are tired of me talking about a good heart today. But we need to approach that with a good heart. We tried to do that this morning with a prayer. So that good heart, I want you to have today. It's inside you to have that good heart. I want you to envision that good heart collectively with all of you in this space, so you might be able to go forward with a good heart. Because life's not easy. There are negative parts in life. There are hard parts of life. And the hard parts still require solutions. And those solutions, hopefully, we're going to come from a good heart. I want you to have that good heart today. I want you to drive by here, look at this place as you go by. You're not always going to have time to stop. You're going to be busy. I want you to look at this place and say, it gives me a good heart. At times you're going to have time to stop, come sit on a rock where some bear pooped in a tree, and have a good heart. And hopefully you'll have friends and relatives that want to bring them here so they can share in your good heart. I spoke at my mentor's daughter's funeral. My spiritual mentor, the man that taught me about Indian spiritualism. I approached a good chunk of my life with a negative, bad heart. As we spent a day in council, he convinced me that the energy that I spent learning, proving that my bad heart was correct, that I'd wasted a whole bunch of my time in life. I could have done something for somebody else much greater than myself. So it was an Indian teaching from the old medicine man, my mentor, I want to leave you with today. At the end of that session, many sessions with this man were incredibly powerful. He told me to stop and think. Life is a journey ahead of you. Subtitled, Don't Keep Packing the Negative Parts of Your Past. Get over it. The next part is approach that journey with a good heart. It's that simple. Life's journey is ahead of you. Approach it with a good heart. I want you to think about that. I want you to practice that. Thank you. I can't tell you how humble I am to see all you people here, that Phil and Kathy asked me to help with this project, and that you people all helped to make this dream come true. So thank you, Phil and Kathy.
What a beautiful program. Thank you, Arnold, Randy, Mark, and Alika. And Mark, your fish made of found objects from the park, what a special gift. It's going straight onto our mantle when we get home. Thank you. Now, let's have some musical fun with Ken Bevis and friends. Thank you all again for coming today.
I had a dream, I was flying in the sky like a free bird on the wing, dreaming of loving home in places and in faces, drifting on the breeze with open heart. Then I spied a valley, smiling verdant green, a river running through it, meandering and clean. Beautiful place, cleft from the high Cascades, jagged peaks surrounded. The smile on my face, I think I found it. Oh, the Methow, my home. Oh, the Methow, my home, home, home. Wander the world and have found where I belong in this Methow, my sweet home. Let me describe it to you. Well, riverbanks covered with cottonwood so fine, hills above are solid, ponderosa pine. Balsam root exploding, wild yellow in the spring, red-tailed hawks and meadow larks fly and then they sing. Tiny flowers hide beneath blue bunch and bitter brush. Brown season comes, leaves fall down, autumn's golden shine. Winter comes quickly, the snow begins to fall. White world, it goes to sleep, to awaken in the spring in my home. Oh, the Methow, my home. Oh, the Methow, my home, home, home. Wander the world and have found where I belong in this Methow, my sweet home. History. Well, native peoples lived here, gathered through the years, digging roots, catching salmon, or hunt the big-eared deer. Their spirits lay upon this land, mingled with the trees. We walk their trails, see their skies, feel the Methow's peace. Then came the homesteads, the miners, loggers too. The ranchers and the farmers worked the land for me and you. So many came before us, to them we owe great debt. We'll try to keep this valley fine, but that is work that ain't done yet, no, no. In the Methow, my home. In the Methow, my home, home, home. Wander the world and I found where I belong in this Methow, my sweet home. Break. Oh, the Methow, my home. Oh, the Methow, my home, home, home. Wander the world and I found where I belong in this Methow, my sweet home. Last verse. Now the future is upon us, computers, flying cars, crushing modern world, but here we see the stars. Get out and visit with your friends, Twist Market or the barn, Mazama Junction or on the trail, love is never far. Young people laugh and sing, clear eyes and open hearts. Their world is new, their minds are fresh, soon they'll do their part. We make our way together, we celebrate this land. We raise our voice, we clap our hands, and we sing to our home, to our home. Oh, the Methow, our home. Oh, the Methow, our home, home, home. Wander the world, we found where we belong in this Methow, our sweet home. In the Methow, our home. In the Methow, our home, home, home. Wander the world, we found where we belong in this Methow, our sweet home. In this Methow, our sweet home. In this Methow, our sweet home. Oh, oh, oh.
Some of you may or may not know, but several years ago I wrote a little story called The Last Salmon. Amazingly, Kai Gottberg and Casey James turned it into a play, and at first they said, "We're going to take your story and make it into a musical." Well, I'm not a huge musical fan, but what they created was really beautiful. And it pretty much was beautiful because of these two. There were others in the band, but Andrew and Rebecca kind of stole the show as Buck and Spring in the story. And so they're going to sing a couple of songs, a little bit of a Last Salmon reprise. I'll just set the stage by reading the opening paragraph in my story. And it's kind of, kind of like today. The day was as perfect as any day John could remember. A bright sun warmed the cool morning as people of all sorts gathered from far and wide for this big celebration. For on this day, just as it has been for thousands and millions of years, the great waters of the Methow River would welcome home their magnificent friends. Since childhood, John has returned to this special place to celebrate the homecoming of the mighty Chinook, king of all salmon. And now, as always, he gathers the children to share a story of days gone by, when people had all but forgotten, and when the first salmon was almost the last salmon.